Hey guys, girls, and welcome to ironically, another new What If Here. Today we are doing, as you can see in the title and the thumbnail, What If Naruto and Kakashi became nukenin Part 1. And whilst I'm not exactly sure if this would continue into a series, so this could also somewhat just be a one-off. So, yeah. Anyway. So, one would say Kakashi and Naruto become nukenin, when and why? Well, it would start at the Valley of the End. Or more specific, well, just after it. So it'd be the fight with, obviously, Sasuke. In average with Sasuke, obviously somewhat leaving to join Orochimaru. Yeah, and as Kakashi would somewhat run back to Konoha with Naruto on his back. Though he had a somewhat sinking feeling that something bad was going to happen. And yeah, he just didn't know why, he just couldn't get rid of this somewhat bad feeling, and he knew he'd somewhat hope that, maybe maybe he was just being somewhat stupid, and maybe the bad thing was just needing to go like a toilet or that. Or he was maybe just worried for, his Naruto's, life, his sensei's son's life. Yeah, though after some hour and a good hour or so of running, he'd arrive back at Konoha, and Naruto would be taken into a operating room. Though after Tsunade had checked Naruto over, they'd pull Naruto out of the operating room and into a just hospital bed. And Tsunade would just tell Kakashi that he was somewhat fine, and that he'd probably be up and about within the next day or so. Though she'd ask where was Sasuke, and Kakashi would say that Sasuke was gone. He was gone when he had arrived, and that she'd somewhat sigh, so it was a failure. Which Kakashi would somewhat look down and would just nod, as he'd berate somewhat himself if he was just faster, then maybe he could have arrived in time to to beat Sasuke. But yeah, he just somewhat sigh, and though some time would go by, and Naruto was finally somewhat up and about, and though Tsunade would somewhat enter Naruto's room, though Kakashi had been in Naruto's hospital room kind of constantly. Well, yeah, ever since he had somewhat entered the room, though he did somewhat have a shell clone, obviously go out and about, the village and into his own apartment, so nobody knew he was that, and he was suppressing his chakra to the best of his abilities, which thankfully was better than what Tsunade could sense. So Tsunade would somewhat enter and would tell Shikamaru to somewhat leave, as she needed to speak with Naruto alone, with Naruto awakening. Had only awoken around a couple of minutes to an hour ago, and Sakura had somewhat blamed. I'd somewhat moaned that Naruto, and that it was either his fault that that her Sasuke had left, or something like that, which had somewhat hurt Naruto. Though Shikamaru had screamed at Sakura and had told her to get the frick out of that before he personally did something that so she'd quickly left, and And though, yes, and I would somewhat look at Naruto seemingly with an emotional face, and would somewhat tell Naruto that he'd have, though that once he was better, that once he could walk around, he would have, he would have a day or so to get his things and leave Konoha, and Naruto would look at her and look at, what do you mean, Ba-chan? As she'd look at Naruto and would go, I hereby, as the 5th Hokage, banish you. Uzumaki Naruto would go wide-eyed and would have tears in his eyes and Kakashi would somewhat clench his fists, though he'd keep his anger under control, and as he just wanted to storm right at her and just, just do something that he'd probably regret later on. And though there was no reason for him to stay, if Naruto was going to leave, well, Sasuke had left. Sakura was practically, he never had, he did somewhat care for Sakura, but not all that much. He mainly cared for Naruto and somewhat Sasuke, though mainly more Naruto. And, and Naruto would would somewhat try almost anything, but she'd just end up walking out, and Naruto would just break down as he'd, starts and that it was unfair and that he tried his best, and though Kakashi would somewhat reveal himself, though Naruto wouldn't be surprised he'd known Kakashi was there all this time. And though Kakashi somewhat would walk over and would just somewhat tell Naruto that once he somewhat left to meet him up somewhere outside of Konoha, Naruto would look at Kakashi and would ask why, as Kakashi would simply state that if Konoha was going to banish him, then he'd be leaving as well, as he had no other really reason to stay here. As Naruto would point out that he did, and that he had Sakura, he had, his somewhat kind of rival guy, as Kakashi would say, as he'd go, maybe Naruto, but the person I care about isn't. As so you'd say that the team, I couldn't stay here in Konoha knowing that you was out there, and after that, as in a village that banished you for a failed mission. You were just a scapegoat, and I'm not going to live in a village that would just happily do that to someone, so I'm leaving. And dude, though Naruto trying to convince us, Kakashi to say that, though it again somewhat wouldn't work, and eventually though they would end up discussing where to meet, and a week or so later, and Naruto would finally be out of the hospital and would leave. Of course, Shikamaru was many people weren't really that somewhat surprised, though though obviously everyone that had went on the mission was stunned, why Naruto, and that they tried arguing at, the council that if Naruto was banished, then so should they, as they had just as much as a part to play as Naruto did. And the only reason why they weren't was because they were clan children, and that, and just annoyed them all, and well, yeah, and of course, while Shikamaru spent the most time sort of with Naruto, and Naruto, while Kakashi, they had somewhat told Shikamaru, and Shikamaru somewhat nodded and told that he wouldn't somewhat tell anyone, and that they would, and Kakashi somewhat say that, do you, no, Kakashi though state that before they would somewhat leave, he'd turn out to that before he'd leave, he would have to summon Gamabuta for something. Naruto would ask what that something was, and Kakashi would simply state that it was a key, and Naruto would ask a key for what, as Kakashi would stare at Naruto would stare back, as though Naruto would then realise a key for something, as Naruto would then realise what the key was for, as he'd stare down his somewhat stomach, as he'd go a key for the key for the seal, isn't it, as Kakashi would nod. And so like 3 or 4 days before they would somewhat leave, before Naruto was removed from the Toad Summoning contract, because this Toad Summoning contract was somewhat, they had signed a somewhat contract with Konoha to protect them, and as such any name that was signed, that had signed the contract, would be removed from it, because they would be a threat to Konoha, thus they'd be removed. So and Naruto would end up summoning Gamabun, and Kakashi and Naruto, mainly Kakashi would explain to Gamabun what was going on in that, and he would nod as it'd be, he'd somewhat tell Naruto to summon him back in in around 2 to 3 minutes. They'd nodded and they'd waited next minute and a half, 2 minutes. As Naruto would then go back through the same hand signs that he did, and they'd once again be a giant puff smoke, as Gamabun would then hand him over the seal, the key, not the seal, the key for the seal. Kakashi then somewhat by string would go through a similar set of hand signs and would slam his hand on the ground, as a puff smoke would erupt, as Naruto would somewhat be surprised. Naruto knew Kakashi had the Toxon contract, but he was, the surprise part was that it was a giant, somewhat dog that Kakashi had summoned, or ish, it was a medium-sized dog. The dog would Kakashi would speak to the dog, obviously explain what was happening in that, and the dog would somewhat nod and would just tell Kakashi that obviously they were loyal to Kakashi and that they'd follow Kakashi no matter where he went. Which Kakashi would somewhat nod, remember, and would obviously thank them for their loyalty, as and he'd obviously somewhat explain, the scroll in which Gamabun was somewhat had in his hands, was obviously the key for Naruto's seal, and would, after a bit of explaining that, the somewhat dog would take him and state that he'd keep it safe until someone Naruto's ready to harness the power of the fox. Kakashi would nod as the dog would disappear in a puff of smoke with said scroll, and Gambrinta would tell him, would somewhat tell Naruto to obviously somewhat stay safe and to somewhat be obviously strong, and Naruto would just somewhat nod and would somewhat say that it was an honour working alongside him, and and it was nice and somewhat fun to obviously to have gotten to have known Gambrinta, and they would somewhat nod, and and so from there, they would, after obviously after the couple of days that Naruto left in the somewhat village, Naruto would somewhat leave, and the only real people that somewhat came to say goodbye to Naruto was the people that went with Naruto to try and get Sasuke back, and somewhat Naruto as well, somewhat that was kind of it. Tsunade, not even Dry was there either, which it's somewhat hurt Naruto, because Dry was Naruto thought that they were at least somewhat close, but apparently they weren't, so Naruto would say goodbye to the only friends that he seemed to have had, that he'd made, and he'd walk out, he'd then leave. And Naruto then run off and would run away, and once he couldn't see Konoha, he would then head to Kakashi, told him to somewhat meet him, and after 5 or so minutes he'd arrive, and from there he would somewhat see Kakashi, though Kakashi just wouldn't have his the flat jacket, or his he'd have a headband, but though he didn't have the Konoha symbol. Like, it was just a piece of cloth. It was just a piece of cloth wrapped around his head over one eye, which of course held the Sharingan. And Naruto would look at Kakashi and ask where they were going to go, and Kakashi would state that they would firstly Kakashi would somewhat state that he didn't know either, and they would somewhat think for a bit before Naruto would somewhat state that they could maybe go back to the Land of Waves. And see how they were maybe somewhat doing, and from there think about where to somewhat go and possibly maybe stay. Kakashi would somewhat nod, as Kakashi already had a rough idea where he wanted to somewhat go, or at least take Naruto, which was to Uzushiogakure, because he'd remembered from what Kushina had told him that when it was down there, that Namdi had managed to get nothing from Uzushiogakure. It was just destroyed, left in ruins. So any indoor scrolls in about Funjutsu, Ninjutsu, Kenjutsu, anything like that was still in Uzushiogakure, or the ruins of Uzu. And so Kakashi thought that he'd somewhat take Naruto there maybe for a month or so that they could find some scrolls and that, and or maybe set up a base of operations there. Though he somewhat knew it would be better to go somewhere else, and maybe even to a different village. And out of the 5, obviously, big kind of villages, the 5 nations, only 3 of them would accept him. Suna, wouldn't, because that allied with Konoha. Obviously Konoha somewhat in the next stage has left Konoha. Somewhat Kumo most likely would accept due to obviously obviously Kakashi being Kakashi, being copycat. Kakashi the Sharingan. Naruto due to his parents were so something to Kushina, and plus being a 9-tested Cherokee. Though mainly because of who his parents were, that the Blade Kage A would probably actually let them into his village. Then there was Iowa, which was unlikely to, well, maybe, but possibly though had a lower chance of actually being allowed in instead to become a shinobi of Iowa. Unlikely, and plus it was just rocks upon rocks upon rocks. So Kumo would be somewhat better. And then there was obviously the Mist Village, which was currently going through a civil war, so that was a no-no. A Mayhard, just no-no. So it was either Ira or Kumo, and you try Kumo first, but if not Kumo, then Ira. And there was no way he was going to, go and, go to, the, Sound Village. No way. He wasn't going to go and, go and work for, Orochimaru. Yeah, no thanks. And, so, they would head over and somewhat they would arrive after a good 3 or 4 hours of running. They would arrive at the bridge, and Kakashi would somewhat snort at the name of which they named the bridge as Nato. They would somewhat bring a slight smile to somewhat face as he'd got a bridge named after him. So though they would they would obviously walk over the somewhat bridge, and when they'd enter waves, obviously some people would notice them and would obviously wave at them. Though Kakashi would stop to talk to some of them, asking where Tazuna lived, just in case they'd moved since the mission a year ago, pretty much, nearly a year ago. So they somewhat told Kakashi wars, which was pretty much he lived why he did a year ago, pretty much. So him and Naruto would head out, and they'd arrive there. They would somewhat knock as what's her name? Tsunami. That's it. Would somewhat would answer and open the door, and she'd somewhat be surprised to see Kakashi and Naruto. She'd it was written over her face. I should somewhat let them come in. She'd let them come in, and she'd ask what they're somewhat doing there, and though Kakashi would say that it was best to somewhat wait for everyone to be here. So that being Inari and Tazuna. So should someone nod, and she'd state that that they'd be back around some in time, around 5 or 6 o'clock, and she'd ask how long they would stay. If they needed a place to stay, if they did, then they were welcome to stay, which Kakashi nod and somewhat thank her for letting them stay here, and she'd ask how long they were planning to stay, which Kakashi would say he wasn't sure, but probably maybe only 2 or 3 days. And it had to deal with their somewhat current situation, which they would explain once the other two would be back. They should nod in some time later, and Kakashi during that time would tell Naruto whose father and mother was, and Naruto wouldn't somewhat be angry at Kakashi for keeping his parentage a secret from him, because Naruto would never once bothered to ask Kakashi if he knew his parents. So it's somewhat his own fault for never asking Kakashi. Anyway, though, they'd somewhat talking. Kakashi would actually give Naruto something. There's something being the scarf in which Kusanagi knitted or sewed herself. Knitted herself. Kakashi somewhat. I would obviously give it to Naruto and even show Naruto what his. He didn't need to know what his father looked like. He'd seen it for the longest time. Yeah, he just never put two and two together. Though seeing who his mother was brought, tears somewhat to his eyes and that, and and anyway, though, eventually, soon would somewhat come up and would knock on the bedroom door of the two boys and would state that dinner was somewhat ready, and actually I didn't told the Tazna and Inari that they were here. She just stated that they had guests and not who they were, to be just had a bit of surprise for the two. And that Kakashi just nodded as they'd somewhat walked down, surprising Tazna and Inari, as Inari would immediately somewhat bolt up and would somewhat give Naruto a cuddle. Pretty much like asking a billion questions all at once, though Naruto would somewhat chuckle and would somewhat rub his eyes. They would after a minute or so they'd somewhat and I would break off from the cuddle and would sit back down at the kitchen table with Kakashi and Naruto joining them. As Tazuna, would obviously ask the question would ask what they were somewhat doing here and how long they would somewhat be staying here for. Kakashi would state that they were staying for around 2 to 3 days, and that they were here because pretty much Konoha had somewhat kicked Naruto. In a way, had somewhat kicked Naruto out of the village, and he had somewhat just joined Naruto, and Kakashi had simply had stated that, and he'd said and somewhat in a way there were nukenin now, missing nin, and though Tazuna would ask why would Konoha do such thing to Naruto, and Kakashi would state that he didn't really know why, but apparently the only reason was because that they were Kakashi would tell them of the mission that Sasuke somewhat had gone rogue and had and somewhat Naruto and a couple of other somewhat people his age had gone out to go and get him back, and though the group had ended up having to split up, and Naruto had ended up having to face Sasuke, though that ended up somewhat failing, and Naruto pretty much only had two options: either kill him or let him leave, as Naruto had stated himself that he wasn't strong enough to bring him back alive, though he was strong enough to bring him back dead, just not alive. And Naruto had stated that he'd thought, letting Sasuke somewhat leave, he could, return back to Konoha, get stronger and then go back out for Sasuke and to try and bring him back once he was a lot stronger. And instead, they they ended up kicking him out just because he failed to bring back Sasuke. And yeah, because some Taznos, they were obviously somewhat outraged at that, at, you know, the village's somewhat stupidity at something like that. Yeah, and they, obviously stuff like that, you know, happen, missions fail, it was crazy, stupid even. Yeah, so after someone Tazno had cooled down a bit, he would say that, you know, they would stop doing trade with Konoha, though Kakashi would try and convince them otherwise, and eventually though Tazno would somewhat give up, though he'd ask Kakashi, would ask them where they were planning on going, and that would say that he didn't know, and Kakashi would state that they were going to go somewhere, but he didn't want to somewhat say, just in case a Konoha shinobi or that, you know, with somewhat current may try and torture you for information where we will somewhat be going, so it was better off that they didn't know for their safety. But though Kakashi would say that they may come back after a while and maybe somewhat tell them, but it was they would just somewhat nod, and from that light, the days would go by as today was their last day in the waves, their somewhat third day. Then Kakashi and Naruto would somewhat say goodbye to Tazuna, Inari, and Tsunami, and they would obviously, tell them to obviously be safe, and safe travels and that. And Naruto and Kakashi would somewhat leave. As once they were off the bridge, Kakashi and would somewhat would start running in a direction with Naruto catching up. Would run alongside Kakashi as Naruto would ask where they were going, and Kakashi would state that they would be going to the homeland of his clan, of Naruto's clan. Naruto would ask what he meant by somewhat clan, as Kakashi would just say, Kakashi would somewhat just stare at Naruto, as Naruto would stare back before Naruto go, oh, you mean the homeland of the Uzumakis? As Kakashi would somewhat sigh and would nod, and Naruto would go, you know what that is? As Kakashi would go, well, somewhat. Kushina had your mum Kushina had roughly told me, had told me how to get there, and that was a long while ago, so who knows, we may just end up in the middle of the ocean, nowhere. Naruto just somewhat sweat drop at that, though. And it'd be 3 or 4, 5 days, as 3 or so days of somewhat running on land, as they'd finally reach the closest point to Uzushiogakure from the land fire. And from there, they would somewhat rest the night, as it was getting late. So the next morning, after they'd have somewhat breakfast, they would obviously destroy the camp, and would then run off in the direction of Uzushiogakure, and after somewhat a good 5 or 6 hours, so around 2 o'clock, 2 p.m, they would Kakashi noticed the formation of a whirlpool and knew that Uzu was nearby, as Uzushiogakure always had whirlpools around it. And Kakashi had somewhat known that he'd left at that he'd look up and they'd have to wait maybe a minute or so, another 2 or 3 minutes, as at a certain time of the day the whirlpools for an unknown reason would somewhat disappear, but only for like a minute or so at most before they would reappear, though the time in which it took them to the time they'd have to get from there to the land was somewhat unknown, as it was always changing. Sometimes it'd be a minute, sometimes it could be a couple of seconds, and other times it could be an hour or so. And so it was always a slight challenge to get boats in and out of Uzushiogakure. But they did, though, somehow managed to predict at what times the whirlpools would last for an hour or so to get boats in and out. Which, anyway, they'd arrive, though, after a couple minutes waiting, they'd manage to get through to Uzushiogakure, and though they'd continue somewhat running for a bit longer, as they'd finally arrive at the village hidden by the whirlpools. Uzushiogakure, or the ruins of Uzushiogakure, and Naruto would ask what they'd be doing here, and Kakashi'd state, well, they'd mainly here to go through the entirety of Uzushiogakure, all the ruins and that, as you tell Naruto that that apparently according to Kushner, that Nomdi had gotten nothing from Konoha to apparently her knowledge or that, and as such, though they'd be somewhat trying to get these scrolls, for obviously Naruto, the some scrolls from his clan, because he was possibly the last one alive, Kakashi would state, which Naruto would just somewhat nod as they would somewhat enter, and they'd set up a somewhat camp inside the village, the abandoned village, sadly. And from there, a week would somewhat go by, as they'd been somewhat obviously looking through all these somewhat building more so. Naruto dad would have had around about 10,000-20,000 shadow clones looking all throughout the village, and when someone come back, deposit any scrolls they'd found. And Kakashi had one or two clones doing the same thing, as he couldn't make many due to having the Sharingan, and it's somewhat constant small drain on his reserves. Though in the meantime, though during that week, as their clones somewhat looked, Kakashi and Naruto somewhat train. Though Naruto state that he somewhat wanted to change up his somewhat looking, Kakashi would ask somewhat what he meant, and Naruto would state that, because he wanted to somewhat look different. He didn't want to be, he wanted to change up how he looked, so that not just so Konoha wouldn't recognise him, but also so that it'd be like a fresh start, a new him. Kakashi would somewhat nod and would guess that Naruto had meant by the transformation, as even though transformation was would only obviously constantly use chakra, though that was a technique within the transformation that once you had transformed, after doing a set of hand signs, you could kind of permanently lock, say, that transformation you into that transformation. In other words, it would somewhat in a it would it wasn't technically lock you into it. It would just somewhat change your DNA into, or at least you into that somewhat what you was looking like. Which because it'd still mean you could obviously transform into other things, but when you'd go to release, say, the jutsu, instead of say Kakashi did it and he transformed into say Iruka, and he'd blocked himself in, and he'd done the hand signs to lock himself into that, he could say transform into, say, Hiruzen, and then when he released the jutsu, instead of going back to being his old self, Kakashi, instead of looking like his old self, he'd transform. He'd go back to actually being Iruka, because he'd locked his transformation into somewhat Iruka, and then as he'd be somewhat Iruka, there'd be no actual the transformation wouldn't draw any chakra, as he was somewhat pretty much biologically Iruka. Would be he would be physically Iruka, just not mentally Iruka, pretty much. Anyway, though, and Kakashi possibly amused himself. Maybe that's what Naruto meant, though Naruto could mean that he may have just wanted a new set of clothes. Wasn't sure Naruto was unpredictable like that. And and of course, during the week, the clones had, of course, though his and Kakashi's clones, well, more so Naruto's clones, had brought back tons and tons of scrolls, and though and Kakashi would, Naruto and Kakashi somewhat had two similar jobs, though different, because there was two different somewhat scrolls that the Naruto's clones had brought back. One was a somewhat jutsu scroll, and the other one was a clothes scroll, or in other words, one held clothes, the other one had held somewhat jutsus and how to perform them, all that. And so Kakashi would somewhat would sort out the jutsus into either like medical ninjutsu, Furinjutsu, and then ninjutsu, and then within obviously ninjutsu is either elemental ninjutsu, which would then split off into obviously wind, water, fire, the 5 basic natures and that. And and Naruto would sort out somewhat just the scrolls that had clothing in them, which weren't that many. And though Naruto himself, today was somewhat just walking through some village, he generally did it early in the morning, just to somewhat just get a sense of maybe what it may have been like, say when it wasn't destroyed, and that children somewhat walking around, probably Uzus, be jumping from rooftop to rooftop, going to and from Uzushiogakure, and Naruto somewhat just sigh, as you could only somewhat imagine And yeah, though he'd somewhat come across this somewhat semi-intact building, as well, yeah, he knew he was in a part of that his clones hadn't got to yet. As Uzu, even though it looked small, it was a pretty big village. And yeah, so he'd somewhat enter it, just someone looking around, though it was generally somewhat empty, though now to amused that it was probably a shop from what he could guess from outside. And yeah, though he'd somewhat go looking about, and to his surprise he'd find a somewhat scroll there. He'd somewhat look at it here, though he'd remove the somewhat dust caked over it, and it would say close, as Naruto would somewhat sigh as he'd go, damn it, why was all the scrolls that seemingly were just somewhat closed, though he'd somewhat open it, and to his surprise, though he'd start to his surprise, almost all the others that had closed in them just was a somewhat storage seal, but this one had words in it, so he'd somewhat start reading it as, and yeah, after a while now to would somewhat would end up just opening, obviously you would though find the we'd read to the bottom, and that was somewhat the storage seal, and well, yeah, now to would somewhat unseal it, and it would somewhat see just a pile, well, not a pile of clothes, it would just be some clothes. And though there was another scroll beside it, he'd open that one up as he'd somewhat read that, and apparently what was in this one was a sword and another scroll, though the scroll inside of this one was a scroll that would teach someone how to use the sword. It was a sword stance. There was some way for and Naruto would somewhat look over the somewhat clothes, and he'd apparently gone to somewhat the thing that he'd read. It sure there was somewhat obviously women's clothing, though they were somewhat special, as in that they would adapt to the somewhat user, not the user, and that if say a girl, so you could somewhat obviously say be a kid, and they would shrink down to somewhat fit you, and as you'd age up they would grow to they would continue to fit you. And Naruto would somewhat wonder, because these were the first actual clothes that he'd found. All the other clothes that his clones had somewhat brought back were definitely not exactly clothes. They were interesting, I would somewhat say. Yeah. They were somewhat interesting. They were definitely different nightwear. Though these were the first obviously clothes. And obviously Naruto remembered himself obviously standing Kakashi a week ago, and Naruto would somewhat obviously like to change what he'd look like, and he'd obviously remember that, and Naruto would think, well, he didn't really necessarily stay that, he'd stay in Meryl, and and though he'd somewhat wonder if he maybe should, maybe, he did want, though he did say that, he didn't want Konoha to, he did, want to, have a somewhat fresh, a new life, and what would be somewhat newer than straight up living, as a woman from whatever point onwards. and though he'd, though I said somewhat mollified, from his mind, he'd resell the clothes, and he'd somewhat pocket it as, oh yeah, he was still somewhat thinking about it as, yeah, though he'd do somewhat sigh as he wasn't sure if he should or somewhat shouldn't, so he'd go back to Kakashi as Kakashi would somewhat, he'd go back to that somewhat camp as Kakashi would look up and see that Naruto somewhat seemed a bit troubled, so to ask Naruto what was up, and Naruto would state that he'd found some clothes, but he didn't know, well, yeah, Naruto would state that he didn't know, say he wasn't sure when it played, you know, he explained to Kakashi somewhat what he'd somewhat found, and his thought, and maybe, you know, his somewhat thoughts, and, you know, should he permanently transform himself into, like, you know, a gal, because he did state that he wanted a new and somewhat fresh life, and what's fresher than straight up becoming a different gender. And I should state that, you know, he could say whatever he likes, but it would overall be, you know, his choice. And like I should tell him that, though if you were that, you know, you're like Kushner and Minto Mei, you know, not like you or love you anymore, I could tell you this, Naruto, they wouldn't care, you know, about you becoming a gal, transforming yourself permanently into a gal or that. The only thing they'd care about is that, A, your safety somewhat, and B, that as long as you was happy, they wouldn't care. Naruto, I can tell you that they would love you for who you are, and as long as you was happy with who you are, they wouldn't care. And I would look at him and go, really? Are you sure, Sensei? As Kakashi, that I'm sure, Naruto. Naruto somewhat, just not as he'd go, I'll be, as Kakashi would go, when someone just wave him off and go, yeah, I know, and you're somewhat tent. And, yeah, Kakashi, though, as Naruto leave, would amused himself that Naruto would possibly be out for the rest of the day, as, sure, he'd never really had to, obviously, lock his, he'd never had to permanently transform himself into a different person, though, and he didn't really know anyone, you know, as well, but it means that Naruto could possibly be out, you know, for the rest of the day, as, after all, you'd probably be, you know, transformed from boy to cow, and now, yeah, it would most definitely, you know, knock him out, so, yeah. With Naruto, though, he would get back to his, tent. He would take off some of his clothes, as he'd put his hands together, as he'd, think about what to somewhat kind of look like, so he'd firstly somewhat transform himself, and though he'd give him, he'd give himself relatively small breasts, like a cup, if not a double A cup. A slightly somewhat, no, a definitely obviously feminine figure, so a slight hourglass figure. And, well, yeah, he wasn't, he didn't really change his height, though he did change his hair colour to a red. And, and in somewhat, and, yeah, though he'd then somewhat put on his somewhat trousers and a jacket, just in the rare case that he went to sleep or that, or, or permanently altering his body would maybe cause him to pass out, and, well, didn't want Kakashi walking in to him being completely naked. So yeah, then Naruto would go through these hand signs to permanently transform himself into what he now looked like. And once he'd finished the hand signs, he would somewhat feel an immense amount of pain shoot throughout his entire body. Every fibre of his body was screaming out in pain, similarly as he'd end up just almost immediately passing out. And yeah, the next day, Naruto, more so Kakashi, though would wake up like he normally would at 7 o'clock in the morning, and an hour later, as though as he'd go and catch some, go and get some food, and was now somewhat cooking it over the fire pit. Though he'd make a clone and have it go and wake Naruto up if we could wake Naruto up. And yeah, the clone would go and somewhat unzip Naruto's tent, would pop his head in, and would then unzip all the way, and would then, after a bit of poking in that, Naruto would somewhat let out a moan of discomfort, and would somewhat just wake up, and suddenly his eyes somewhat woke up and looked at Kakashi. Would somewhat look up, and Naruto would somewhat would remember that it just transformed himself into a girl, and though he'd somewhat his hands would almost immediately go to somewhat hide, though he didn't need to, though Kakashi would go, Naruto, you're wearing stuff. Naruto would somewhat look down and would somewhat sigh in both relief, and Kakashi would somewhat turn around, or at least the clone would somewhat tell Naruto to get ready, and that, as it would then somewhat zip up Naruto's tent before dispelling, giving Kakashi the information that Naruto was awake and had thankfully somewhat slept in his orange trousers and jacket. And Naruto somewhat looked down, and he was almost seeing I was 100% certain that body portions were definitely different from what she could remember she had transformed them to or set them to. And she'd somewhat sigh because she's pretty sure she could remember her breast being smaller, as the jacket was definitely somewhat slightly bulging. And yeah, though her breast had went from a double A cup or A cup to a now decent B cup, and Naruto had a much more pronounced hourglass figure. And once he initially had just somewhat shortish red hair, it was now somewhat down to aroundish his mid-back, if not slightly longer, and was somewhat blood red-ish. And Naruto would somewhat take off the jacket and trousers, and would somewhat say that was the last time he'd ever wear them ever again. So she'd somewhat look over to the those who remembered to pull out the scroll that was inside trousers jacket's pocket, and unroll it and would unseal it. And if you're curious what she'd somewhat look like, once she'd got fully dressed, minus say sword on the right, but yeah, she'd look like that. yeah, so beautiful, somewhat palish, well, yeah, somewhat beautiful, creamy white skin. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, though, from what Naruto gathered from the scroll that said clothes were sealed in, the some outfit. So the the outfit itself had some sealing, places to seal stuff in, and a couple of them were some in the front, around 5 in the front, and somewhat 2 places at the side. 2 would be where you'd put a katana or katanas, and underneath those would be where you'd somewhat seal them for obviously transportation and that. Naruto would somewhat seal the 2 scrolls. It would seal the 2 scrolls, one with the sword and thing for it in, and another one and with the scroll where that it had that scroll in, and said closing with that. And the gloves also had 2 cells and 2 cells on them as well, and they were around where the sort of hands were, where you could store kunai and shuriken, though they somewhat were, the entire somewhat though the outfit was slightly tight on her, those should somewhat quickly remember or write sent chakra into it, where second she did it would readjust as and it'd be now actually comfortable on her. Naruto would take out from her old kunai pouch the 20 kunai shuriken, as that's all it could hold, and would somewhat seal 10 kunai into each hand. Would seal 10 kunai and 10 shuriken in each hand. And and from what Naruto had read on the scroll about that the clothes were sealed in, that it had the seals would somewhat work where you could obviously seal as much as you want in them, but you didn't have to unseal everything to reseal, to add a item or so in there. You just kept on, you could keep on resealing, sealing stuff in, as long as you seal it for that specific seal. And you could obviously unseal either them all at once or one particular item at a time, and either obviously what item you'd want, so either kunai or shuriken. Thus why he'd split the kunai and shuriken 50-50 in each arm seal. And so then somewhat walk out somewhat slightly shakily, and that, as besides from being on uneven ground, that, and of course also just naturally being in hills as well, and that's where I'm going to end it, guys. So if you have somewhat enjoyed this first part of where Naruto and Kakashi became nukenin, tell me in the comments down below, and if you do want this to turn into an actual somewhat series and not just a one-off, tell me in the comments down below. And guys, and until next time, have a good day or night, depending on wherever you are and whenever you watch this, and stay safe and good. Bye!